Hello and welcome. The Sony A6700 has been out for a little while now. Just take a look at this little camera. It's small in size, it packs a punch. The specs on this camera are so impressive and I am using it more and more. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you my 10 favorite accessories and lenses that I use with this camera. My name is Cree, and on this channel, I talk about tech with context. So if you're interested in learning how I use tech like this in my everyday video production services or to shoot videos here in the studio, I invite you to subscribe. Now, this little camera, the Sony A6700, look how small it is. It is not only an adorable sized camera, but it packs a punch. The specs on this camera are so impressive. The ones that stand out the most are the autofocus. Of course, it's a Sony camera. They're very, very well known for autofocus. It's a great hybrid camera. I use this camera to shoot behind the scenes footage on projects when I'm on site with clients. I'm also using it for B-roll, use it as a backup camera. It's fantastic to capture vertical footage with, especially if you're also capturing footage in landscape. I use it for travel and all the above. So because of its size and because it can do things like shoot in 120 frames per second, it can also record in 10-bit 422, which just means it's very high quality image coming out of this camera and all the above. I'm finding myself using it more and more. And so let's take a look at all the accessories I'm using to get the most out of this camera. So the first accessory is a cage. This cage is made by Neewer, and it doesn't matter what cage, I just happen to have this cage. I will put links to everything in the description down below. But what this cage will do is, first of all, I like ones that are very light in size. This one is very light. It's also just minimalistic. It's not going to make the camera any bigger than it already is. I love the size of the Sony A6700. So by putting a gigantic cage on it, well, it kind of defeats the purpose sometimes. But if I want to attach additional accessories to the camera, then I'm going to go with something like this. This is what this little Neewer cage looks like on the camera. You can see that it's nice and minimalistic. Now, anytime you have a camera, you do need to attach some sort of a mounting system to the bottom of it to use anything like a tripod. So the reason why I got this particular cage is because if you look at the bottom here, it does have an Arca Swiss mount built into the bottom of this cage. So what that means is if I need to use this with a tripod, I don't have to have an extra mount or anything like that. This is just going to clamp right onto the top of a tripod, and I'm ready to go. So that leads me to the next accessory I'm going to share with you today. This is the Pgytech MantisPod. I absolutely love this tripod. So I used a Joby tripod or, those ball mounts for a while. Over time, they wear out, so they don't stand up anymore. But this one is fantastic for a couple of reasons. It's small, it's lightweight. I really like lightweight. I know a lot of people out there prefer like a heftiness to their camera. I really like to lean to the lightweight side of things. Because there's an Swiss mount on the bottom, this tripod by Pgytech will actually support this Swiss mount. So all I have to do is mount this onto the top, and you can see right here, now I have a nice kind of a selfie stick where I can vlog with this if I want, or I can just set it up somewhere, and it's a nice little tripod. It's perfect for travel, but that's the benefit of this cage. Let's get a little closer on this cage, and you can see that I have attached, this is actually the Pgytech mounting bracket that fits with this tripod. So if I want to shoot vertically, all I do is I just mount that on the side. It is kind of uncomfortable when you're holding the camera, but this just allows me to shoot either in landscape mode, or I can shoot vertically at any time if I'm on site with a client. So all I have to do is set it up right here. I just lock it in place, and now I can shoot vertically. The flip up screen does flip up top. That's why I put that mounting plate on that particular side of the camera. And now I have a flippy screen. I can vlog, I can shoot vertical footage, I can do whatever I want with this setup right here. The next accessory I'm going to share with you today is actually kind of 3 for the price of 1. So you're seeing a V-mount battery here. This is actually the mount that I'm highlighting for this portion of the video. And then I also have this accessory right here. This is a dummy battery. And right now I'm going to show you exactly how I use this setup. So the thing about the Sony A6700 or any camera in general is you're limited by the amount of space you have on your SD card and or your battery. So that's why I love to use V-mount batteries in all of my different setups. And because we're using a Sony camera, now this could be any camera, but I primarily shoot Sony cameras, I just have this dummy battery. The great thing that Sony has done with the Sony A6700 is it's using the same batteries as it does with the A7S3, the FX3, all the cameras that are pretty much in the lineup, they all use the same battery. So I can use the same accessories and it doesn't matter what camera I'm using. So the way that this little bracket works and what we're going to do right now is we're going to extend the battery life on this camera in those instances where you might want to shoot for, I don't know, longer than an hour. These batteries probably last about an hour, depending on how new or old it is. But let's just say an hour. And what we're going to do right now is extend that battery life so we can shoot for even longer. This bracket is made by Small Rig. And what you do is you fold it up. Now it's an L bracket. On this portion of the bracket, you attach your V-mount battery. And then all you have to do is, because we're using this cage that has that Arca Swiss mount on the bottom, you can see that there's an Arca Swiss mount in this bracket as well. So all you have to do is slide your camera right into this bracket. And of course, it's always difficult to do on camera. You just lock it in place. And now we're extending the battery life on this camera. So in order to attach this battery to the camera, that's where this dummy battery comes into play. All right, so you can see what this setup looks like. So now I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the battery out of the bottom of this camera right here. We're going to place the dummy battery in here in its place. And on the side of this V-mount battery, all V-mount batteries are a little different. So all we do is we just plug this D-tap connector into the side of this V-mount battery. And you can see all we have to do now is turn this camera on. And we are in business. We are powering this camera using this V-mount battery in this setup. This is what that setup looks like. Now, I did mention earlier that I prefer a very light size setup. This is as light and compact as you can get if you're going to use any type of a V-mount battery system. Now, on the bottom of this bracket, you can see it does have an Arca Swiss mount down here. So I don't need anything else to attach this whole thing to a tripod. And because it's so light in weight, and so compact, you can still use smaller size tripods with this setup. It's not going to be too heavy. And this is how I add extra power and extra length to any shoot that I might be doing. Just add a V-mount battery. I know what you're thinking. These cameras are known to overheat. So that's the next accessory I'm going to share with you today. This is the latest external fan from Ulanzi. And I want to show this to you now because if you are going to use a setup like this one, this V-mount setup that is going to extend the battery life on your camera, if you're shooting in 4K, your camera's going to overheat. It's going to overheat at least 45 minutes into your shoot if you're shooting in 24 frames per second, and shorter time span if you are shooting in 30 or 60 or anything above that. So this little fan is fantastic. All you have to do is just hold this little button to turn it on right here. And it has two modes. It has mode 1, it's just going to be a light fan, I guess. And then high is if you place this in 2. Now, I'm placing this in 2 now. I don't know if you can hear this. There is some fan noise. So if you are going to go this route, I would just recommend that you don't have your microphone directly on your camera. Your camera is going to pick up this fan noise, but if you're doing something like this where you are using a wireless mic or you have the microphone a pretty far distance away from the camera, then you don't have to worry about it. And for me, that's in most situations. So all you do is you're going to connect this fan to the back of the camera. I do realize I have a lot going on here, but what you can do with this mount is you can tilt the battery down. That's going to give me access to the back of this screen. And then all you do is you take this fan, and it has little springs on it. So all you do is attach it like this. And it is securely attached to the back of your camera. Then all you do is press the button to turn the fan on. And I'm just going to put this V-mount battery back up in the upright position. And then, of course, I would still attach the dummy battery using this system. But in this case, the reason why I'm showing you this external fan now is obviously you don't have to have this entire big setup to have to use this external fan. But in this case, because I'm going to be shooting for a long period of time, I'm going to need a way to cool this camera down so it does not overheat. Again, especially if I'm shooting in 4K. What I do is I'll attach the fan to the back of this camera. I'll shoot for about 30 minutes if I'm shooting in 4K 24, and then I'll just turn the fan on low, or I'll just keep an eye on it. So you can see the way that it attaches to the camera. It barely takes up any space. It does not get in the way when I'm using the screen in this setup. Now, if I didn't have this V-mount battery set up here, then I wouldn't be able to shut the screen all the way. But either way, if I'm shooting, I have the screen out probably. If I'm behind the camera or if I'm in front of the camera, I have the screen out to the side. Anyway, I have that fan going so that it prevents this camera from overheating. And so far, this is working out really well. All right, we've taken the cage and the V-mount battery system off. And my next favorite accessory is this. This is the ATOMOS bracket, and what it does is it gives you the ability to shoot in either landscape, or I don't know if you can see this here, but if you rotate it, you can also shoot vertically. So let me show you what this looks like on the camera. This is how you mount that ATOMOS bracket to your camera. So in this case, you take the lens off, you place the bracket on the camera, and then you're just going to attach your lens. So this attaches just like any other bracket does, just using the mount on the bottom of the camera. And I'm going to bring this back out. All you do is this front bracket right here. This is what you're going to use to attach to any tripod system that you have. In this case, we're using the Pgytech Mantis. It's hard to say. Let's just put that in here. We'll go ahead and lock it down so it doesn't accidentally come out. All right, and now all you do to make this work is, of course, you can shoot in landscape mode like this. And then on the side here is a little screw. You just loosen it. And now all you have to do is rotate your camera up like this. You're going to tighten that screw down, and now you're shooting vertically just like that. So a great mounting system if you're somebody who's shooting both in landscape mode and vertically for any of your video shoots. Now, if you are on the go, the next accessories I want to share with you are these straps made by Peak Design. One just goes around your wrist if you just want to have one attachment, but there is this entire neck strap, but they all use this great little attachment system right here. I'm sure you've seen these little attachments before. It's just a little dongle that attaches to the side of your camera, and all you do to attach the strap to your camera is take this dongle and slide it in here. It's going to attach. It's nice and secure. And anyway, you'll just attach this to the side of your camera if you just want to do the wrist strap, or you can use the entire neck strap. You would just attach these dongles to both sides of the camera right here, and you'll have a nice neck strap, a secure way to hold your camera while you're traveling. Next up is audio, and I cannot recommend this little microphone enough. This is the Sony, I think it's the ECM something. I'll place a link in the description down below. What is so special about this microphone is it does not require any type of a cable to attach the microphone to your camera. On the top of the Sony A6700, it has a hot shoe mount, and what this microphone does is if you just attach this in that mount, Just screw it down. You don't have to have a cable. It's going to be able to pick up audio through the connection here on the camera. This is a great addition to the Sony A6700. The same microphone works great on the Sony A7S III, the Sony FX3. All of the newer Sonys have this functionality, and this is something that definitely sets this microphone apart from others. The next accessory I want to cover are lenses. These are my three favorite lenses that I use with this camera. This is the Sigma 10 to 18 millimeter. This is perfect for vlogging or if you want to capture vertical footage. I use that, and also for behind the scenes. This is the Sigma 16 millimeter f1.4. This lens is what I use for conference calls or talking headshots. This is going to get you that nice blurry background. And then, of course, I have the Sigma 18 to 50 millimeter f2.8. This is just a small size lens. It's so easy to fit in a backpack. This is going to give you kind of that 24 to 70 millimeter zoom length. And anyway, I use this lens just as much as I use the 16 millimeter and the 10 to 18. Right. Okay, so that leads me to this. So that leads me to this bag. This bag is made by Peak Design. It's a 5-liter bag. It's not very big, but everything you see here as far as lenses and accessories, whatever I want to take, easily fits into this small size bag. When it comes to packing, this is what that looks like for the most part. This is that Peak Design bag. I'm just going to place the camera in here. There's still plenty of room in here. I'm going to take that 18 to 50 millimeter zoom lens. Just going to put it right over here. And of course, for audio, I'm going to take a shotgun mic. This one just fits right over here by the lens. This MantisPod will fit right on top. If I fold this down, this fits right on top inside of the bag. And of course, I can put extra batteries, SD cards, anything else I might need. And then what I do with this bag is here on the front, I just put my phone in this pocket so I can easily access my phone if I need to access my camera anytime. It's right there, easy to grab, small size backpack. And this is what my general setup looks like if I'm traveling or if I'm out and about. I have one last accessory to share with you, and it's this, the Elgato Prompter. That paired with the Sony A6700, and I'm using the 16 millimeter. This lens is by Sigma, gives me that nice blurry background, and this is what I'm using most days here in the office for all of my conference calls, meetings, podcast interviews, or whatever that might look like. So the reason why I love this setup so much is because this camera is nice and light, and if you have the Elgato Prompter, there are a couple different ways that you can attach this prompter to the front of your camera. So you can attach it using a special ring that they attach. You can attach it directly to the front of your lens is one way to attach it. Or in this case, what you can do is you attach this extra ledge, and this comes with the prompter when you purchase it. Let me see if you can see it. There's a ledge right there. And what I've done is I've placed a mount here. I use the Falcam mounts for most of my camera systems. Here is the mount on the bottom of the 6700. Hide my face there so you can see it. So all I have to do is just slide the camera directly into this mount, and I'm ready to go. Now I have access to my prompter. I can go on video conference calls or do whatever I want to do with the prompter. Now, the reason why that's so convenient is because I have this prompter set up and I never have to move it. If I ever need to take this camera off and use it for any other reason other than using it as a webcam for my conference calls, I just easily take it off of the back of the mount, and I can put whatever lens I have on it and take it with me and shoot using this small size setup. All right, there we have it. My favorite accessories and lenses for the Sony A6700. I really love this camera. Let me know, out of all the accessories I shared with you today, which one's your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. And if there is an accessory that I should check out, leave that down below as well. Before you head out today, I invite you to subscribe and definitely hit the thumbs up if you like this video. Thanks as always for tuning in, and I'll see you again in next week's video.